Whoo, hoo, 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 hoo. Holy moly, boys. Wow. Wow. Well, first and foremost, cheers. Wow. I tonight's game, man, just wow. Just wow. So yeah, the Minnesota Wild win at home 3-2 against the Carolina Hurricanes. Holy moly, was tonight a hell of a game. Woo-hoo-hoo. Everything I thought this game would be right here, boys. Everything I thought this game would be right here, boys. I mean, whoo-hoo, man. Wow. The Minnesota Wild win against the Carolina Hurricanes 3-2 on what can be said as arguably one of the toughest, grindiest, just overall crazy wins you'll ever see. Holy crap. So yeah, let's get into this. Like I said, the Minnesota Wild managed to hold off the Carolina Hurricanes 3-2 to improve to 29, 11, and 3. Because holy moly, did this game in the third period open up like none other. Like none other. I mean, the Minnesota Wild, going into about halfway through the third period, were up 3-0. Fiala, Kaprizov, and Gaudreau ended up with the goals tonight. But Andrei Svechnikov, was definitely one of those guys you had to keep an eye on, and it showed because he had 2 goals tonight in the third period after what was a pretty tight game overall. But wow. Oh man, this is a massive win for the Wild. A massive win for the Wild. I mean, again, Fiala, Kaprizov, and Gaudreau all scoring tonight. And despite the Carolina Hurricanes' best efforts and Andrei Svechnikov, like, holy crap. I mean, Andrei Svechnikov single-handedly tried to keep Carolina in this game, but the Wild were up to the task tonight, and this team is just it's it's hard to explain unless you actually watch this team on a nightly basis, like I try to do, because this Wild team, it's so interesting. It's so difficult to. It's just so interesting to see because, wow. This team can go up against anybody, but can also, just see the Winnipeg game last time, lose to anybody. I mean, this Wild team shows why you have to watch almost every night, because this team is not afraid. Is not afraid, regardless of what happens. I mean, this team is just, oh man, I love it. It's nice to see a team that has a lot of grit. It's nice to see a team that isn't afraid when they get punched in the mouth, because, again, going into the third period, the Wild were up 1-0. Got it to 3-0, again, thanks to, Fiala, Kaprizov, and Gaudreau tonight. But Andrei Svechnikov scored 2 himself to try to get the Carolina Hurricane back in. And by the way, did I mention the Hurricanes are, arguably one of the best teams in the East, including in the third period? I mean, good God. It wasn't even close. But the Wild managed to, even after a couple of quick goals by Andrei Svechnikov, which, by the way, did I mention that Andrei Svechnikov is a great player in this league? I mean, but again, the Wild managed to hold them to what can arguably said be arguably the best game this season for the Wild. Again, it just goes to show that this Wild team, no matter what happens, they get punched in the mouth. They go up against arguably some of the best teams in the East, in the West, whatever. They're not afraid. They can hold their own. Granted, again, last game they lost to Winnipeg 2-0, but again, Winnipeg isn't one of those teams that's... Winnipeg is better than the record indicates. Let's just put it that way. And, yeah, I mean, again, Winnipeg, I mean, they have a fight to them too. I mean, but... And as I mentioned in my last video here with the Wild, sometimes you just have to get punched in the mouth to realize that you're not as good as you think you are. And then you go up against arguably one of the best teams in the entire NHL in the Carolina Hurricanes. And managed to get a huge dub. A huge dub tonight. And it just goes to show that this team is not afraid. This team is not afraid. Even if they get punched in the mouth. Even if this isn't a great night for this team. But, again, I mean, this team is something special here. Talbot, granted, I mean, he was on his head for the most part, but Svechnikov, as I keep saying, Andrei Svechnikov is a top 5 team in the league, or top 5 player in this league. And Winnipeg managed to beat Nashville tonight, which is huge for us again. But wow, it just... This is setting up to be a great team. I mean, this is setting up to be a great opportunity for the Wild this year. And yes, I definitely have had a few to drink tonight, but still, I mean, it's nice to see this team, the Wild, actually kick some serious ass, regardless of what you believe, regardless of what happens. But I mean, it's refreshing to see. So again, the Minnesota Wild win tonight 3-2 to go to 29-11-3, I believe. But wow, and again, in the Central Division, which is still a crazy division, all things considered. But, I mean, the Wild are hot. The Wild can contend against anyone. So, and again, the Wild on Monday night will be taking on the Detroit Red Wings, which today beat the Philadelphia Flyers, which again, I mean, isn't necessarily a great team per se, but still, I mean, you can never take any team lightly. So, but yeah, cheers. I mean, again, it's just nice to see a team that gets punched in the mouth can withstand getting punched in the mouth. Because again, Andrei Svechnikov, I mean, that's a guy that you'll see on a lot of great... I mean, Andrei Svechnikov single-handedly tried to keep Carolina in this game tonight. So, it's... Again, anytime you can take down a top team, no matter if it's in the East, in the West, or whatever, but... Oh, boy, this team definitely... Again, this Wild team is just something to behold to this year. And again, no matter what you believe in, no matter if you are a diehard sports fan or whatnot, but anytime you see a team that just, no matter what happens, can take a shot in the mouth and still manage to find a way to win, I mean, that's a special team. And again, this Wild team can go up against anybody on any given night. And that's what I love to see. So, again, cheers. So, yeah, until we meet again, this is Jacob. Have a good night.